The school said my daughter was gifted and should skip a grade, but I refused because her older brother failed and I won't allow her to be better than him. When she questioned me, I grounded her and punished her even more. I've seen a lot of posts on here where people get dragged for being honest, so I already know I'll probably get ripped apart. But I need outside opinions because I genuinely cannot understand why my entire household is acting like I've done something unforgivable. I'm a father of two, Dennis, 14, and Kiara, 10. My wife Tara and I have been married 12 years. I grew up in a house where everything revolved around my older sister's success. She was the gifted one. Think trophies, newspaper articles, whole family cheering her every breath. I existed in the background. I wasn't bad, I wasn't broken, I just wasn't her. And when you're the kid who isn't special, people don't even realize how deeply that sticks. They think emotional neglect only comes from screaming or abuse, but I swear silence is worse. So I made a promise to myself when I started a family. No kid of mine would ever be better than another. No kid would ever be sacrificed to make the other look like a trophy. That's why this situation is such a mess. A few weeks ago, the school called Tara and I in. They said Kiara tested exceptionally high and that she qualifies to skip a grade. They went on about her reading level, her test scores, how she's bored in class. The teacher even smiled, like she expected me to jump up and clap. Meanwhile, Dennis is sitting across the table, barely looking up, and I could just feel it. If we let Kiara skip, Dennis isn't just a kid who failed a grade, he becomes the dumb one. He already struggles. ADHD, anxiety, the whole world telling him he's behind. We spent all of last year trying to keep him from collapsing, and I'm supposed to look him in the eyes and tell him his sister just catapulted past him? I said no, immediately. I didn't even hesitate. I told them we believe in family unity and balance. I told them we want Kiara challenged but not at the expense of her brother's mental health. As soon as we left the office, Tara was already frustrated. She said this is an opportunity and that Kiara deserves to reach her potential. I tried explaining that skipping isn't some neutral upgrade, it has a ripple effect. It changes how they see each other. I told her greatness comes with pressure, and pressure breaks kids, but Tara thinks I'm exaggerating and that I'm letting my childhood trauma dictate my parenting. Maybe I am. Maybe trauma makes you aware of things other people never had to notice. The worst part came when Kiara overheard the entire discussion at home. She asked why she wasn't allowed to skip, and I tried to explain calmly that our family functions best when everyone stays on similar footing. She kept pushing back, saying things like, "This has nothing to do with Dennis," and "I shouldn't be punished for him failing." Punished. That word hit me hard. She sees fairness as punishment. That's when I grounded her. I took away her tablet and her books. And before anyone calls that abusive books are more than entertainment for her, they're a wall. She reads at the dinner table. She reads instead of talking. She reads instead of acknowledging us. Sometimes I feel like she's using reading to disconnect from the family entirely. So I said if she wants to be part of this house, she needs to learn that her identity is not based on being special. Tara disagreed. Of course, she said I'm projecting. But I thought grounding would help Kiara calm down and think. Instead, she locked herself in her room and cried all night, and now the entire energy in this house feels like everyone is silently blaming me. For the record, I love both my kids. I'm not trying to sabotage anyone. I'm trying to protect Dennis and maintain balance. Families collapse when kids are placed on pedestals. I lived through that collapse. I've seen what favoritism does to siblings. Kiara thinks I'm punishing her for being smart. But I'm trying to stop her from being turned into something that destroys everyone else, including herself. Because when a kid becomes the center, the world will crush them if they ever fall short. I'd rather she be grounded, balanced, part of us than some isolated brain in a room full of trophies who doesn't know how to exist without applause. Maybe I handled it wrong. Maybe I handled it exactly right. I can't tell anymore. But I am tired of everyone acting like I'm the villain because I refuse to let history repeat itself. So here I am on Reddit because my wife won't speak to me about it. My daughter hates me right now. And even Dennis looks confused about whether I'm helping or hurting. I just want to know, am I actually the only person who sees the long-term damage skipping a grade would cause? Update 1. I didn't expect the amount of backlash I got. I thought people would understand that I'm just trying to protect my son's emotional well-being. Instead, the comments were mostly calling me abusive, controlling, jealous words that do not match who I am or what I am trying to do for my family. That's partly why I'm writing this update. I need to explain what has been happening since then, because everything escalated far more than it should have. After I made the original post, things in the house felt strained. Kiara barely spoke to me unless she had to. She walked around with this quiet resentment that she didn't try to hide. If anything, she looked at me like I was an obstacle. I want to clarify something. When I grounded her for questioning me, it wasn't because I couldn't handle her challenging my authority. It was because I wanted to teach her to respect decisions meant to protect the family as a whole. Life is about cooperation, not charging ahead because you're gifted and everyone else must catch up. I know I come off strict, but I didn't have structure growing up. My parents celebrated my sister at every turn while making me feel like extra weight. I remember sitting in the back of awards ceremonies while they clapped like she was royalty. I swore that in my home, no child would overshadow another. I would not allow my son to become what I was: silent, drowned out, replaced by a better-made version. That isn't insecurity. That's preventing trauma from repeating. Anyway, 2 weeks after I declined the grade skip, the school called again. They asked my wife to come in instead of me. She went alone and didn't tell me until later. Apparently, Kiara took some private placement exams with her teacher's help and scored even higher than before. They told my wife she was wasting potential being held back. I found out only because I noticed paperwork in her purse, the permission form already signed. To everyone reading, imagine being a father trying to keep his family balanced, and your wife just goes behind your back to undo everything you're trying to protect. I confronted her calmly because I didn't want a scene in front of the kids. She tried to say she had to think about Kiara's future, but isn't family the future? Isn't protecting unity more important than trophies? When I realized the school had done all of this without involving me, yes, I went there. I marched into the office and demanded to speak to whoever approved the testing. I didn't yell, I spoke firmly. A couple of parents recorded me because everything is recorded now. I kept hearing myself say the same sentence over and over. Skipping grades destroys siblings. I stand by it. Academic separation becomes emotional separation. Kids become categories. That night, I made a decision. I removed all distractions that were building the wedge. I locked away Kiara's books, not forever, just until she understood that intelligence is not currency she can use to buy distance or superiority. I canceled her after-school clubs because they were full of teachers and other adults feeding her the idea that she was special. She is not special, she is equal. I needed her to see that. I also began what I considered structured bonding. I required Kiara and Dennis to spend 1 hour together daily doing the same task: chores, simple worksheets, board games. I thought forcing them into the same environment would make them see each other as partners instead of opposites. I even explained this to them: unity before achievement. I didn't think this was unreasonable. Somehow, someone reported us. Maybe a neighbor saw Kiara upset when I took her books and assumed something sinister. CPS came to the house. They asked questions. They looked around. They left. Everything was fine because I'm not the villain everyone online tries to paint me as. But my wife changed after that. She barely looked at me. She slept in the guest room. She stopped talking about plans or dinners or grocery lists. She said as little as possible, and when she did speak, it felt rehearsed, like she was trying not to feed me anything she could use against her. I think the world brainwashed her. The school, the neighbors, social media, they all turned her into someone who thinks family structure is abuse, but academic pressure is love. For the record, I am not trying to harm my daughter. I am trying to save my son. I am trying to avoid a future where he watches her walk across a stage while he sits in the audience feeling like a ghost. I read more comments on my first post than I should have. People said I don't love Kiara. They said I only care about Dennis. That is not true. I care about fairness. Kiara can read. Kiara can succeed. But she cannot do so while destroying her brother. What kind of father would I be if I let one child grow wings while the other sinks? Update 2. After my last post, I realized something. No one understands what it's like to stand in the middle of two children and know that if one rises, the other falls. Everyone online kept saying I was abusive or jealous, which is ridiculous. If anything, I'm the only one in this house holding two kids from drifting into completely different worlds. And it turns out I needed to hold even tighter because things behind my back were moving faster than I expected. I found out by accident. I wasn't snooping. I live in this house and I have the right to see what happens in it. My wife left her laptop open on the kitchen counter while she took a call outside. I walked by and saw an email thread with the subject line, Kiara's placement plus transition. I clicked once just to see because I thought it might be the school again. It wasn't. It was a long conversation between her, a guidance counselor, and what looked like a private academy. I saw phrases like early transfer, fall semester scholarship, and then the line that made everything inside me tighten. We will need to make arrangements for living transitions. Living transitions. They meant moving out. My wife was planning to take Kiara, leave Dennis and me here, and start a new life where Kiara could become some sort of trophy child. She never once said anything like this to me. Not even a hint. And I couldn't stop thinking, did she ever care about balance? Did she ever understand the damage that happens to a kid who grows up labeled as the failed one? If she could do all of that quietly, then I didn't have a choice. I had to act before Kiara was gone forever, leaving Dennis to drown. I know people will judge me for what I did next, but I don't care. I pulled both kids out of school. Officially, I called and said I'd be homeschooling. I framed it as wanting more family-based structure. I said the modern system breeds competition and fractures families. They didn't fight me on it, they just asked if I needed materials. I said I'd handle it. I took control because someone needed to. My plan was simple. Dennis would have mornings focused on confidence games where he could win, activities where he wasn't measured against anyone. I needed him to feel like he was capable again. Kiara, on the other hand, would learn humility. She would do chores, help around the house, learn what it means to be a part of a family before she tried to race ahead of it. I banned reading for her, not because I hate reading, but because she used it as a wall she hid behind. She would sit and bury her face in books while Dennis stumbled, and I could not keep letting her disappear into that world where she was untouchable. I wanted them to reset. Same environment, same expectations. A family should function like a team, not a ladder. The backlash came faster this time. Neighbors saw Kiara outside one night doing chores barefoot. I didn't force the barefoot part. She went out without shoes, and I didn't turn it into a battle. But someone filmed her, and suddenly online strangers had opinions about my house again. It spiraled into some local Facebook post about the man who forces his daughter to clean in the dark, which is not what happened. Everyone wants a dramatic story. No one wants reality. When that video started spreading, I saw my wife change. For weeks, she barely acknowledged me. But that night, she looked at Kiara crying in the kitchen, and something in her snapped. It was in her eyes, this judgment, like she had decided who I was, and there was no room left for explanation. She didn't yell, she didn't argue, she just silently packed a bag for Kiara. I tried to talk, she ignored every word. She walked out the door with our daughter, and I'll never forget how Kiara didn't look back once. She just stepped into the car like she had been waiting for this moment. The next morning, I heard a knock. I thought maybe she came back to talk. It wasn't her. It was a man serving papers. Emergency temporary custody filing. Words stacked on each other like accusations I never said out loud, emotional harm, controlling behavior, isolation. I stood there holding the documents, reading them again and again, and I kept thinking, how am I the villain for trying to hold my family together? Everyone keeps repeating the same line online that I lost control. But I only took control because everyone else around me was trying to destroy the balance. I don't regret it. I protected my son. I refused to let history repeat itself. Update 3. I didn't think it could get worse than having my own wife rip my daughter out of the house and then having papers shoved in my hands accusing me of everything under the sun. But apparently, that was only the starting point. I used to think she was quiet, soft-spoken, the type who would rather avoid conflict than cause it. Now I'm seeing someone else entirely. I don't know when the change happened, and honestly, I don't know if she was always this way, and I just didn't notice because life was easier then. But the way she's acting now makes me feel like she's on a mission where I'm the target. The divorce lawyer she hired isn't just someone random. She chose one of those heavy-hitting, reputation-destroying types that people hire when they want to burn someone to the ground rather than just separate. I only learned who the guy was when I Googled his office after getting served. It was like finding out your neighbor traded in their minivan for a tank. The tone of everything coming at me shifted instantly. Letters, emails, filings, all worded like I'm some danger that needs to be put down before anyone can breathe safely again. She didn't just make accusations in court filings. She went public. Posts started circulating, screenshots, clips, comments, all from her side. She used that video the neighbors took and twisted it into a whole narrative. She wrote captions about years of control and psychological damage. Strangers shared it. People who used to nod at me in grocery stores won't look at me now. Parents from Dennis's old soccer team removed me from group chats. I don't think there's a single person in this town who hasn't heard the worst possible version of who I am. And she wasn't done there. Somehow she got into my business connections. I had clients lined up for months, people I've worked with for years. Suddenly emails started rolling in canceling meetings, backing out of contracts, saying they can't be associated with current circumstances. She contacted them. I know she did because one of them slipped and forwarded me the message she sent. It was a long explanation framed like she was doing them a favor by warning them about risking their reputation by continuing association. She made it sound like I'm radioactive. She also filed for alimony. She makes more than me, always has. But apparently that doesn't matter when you can phrase something as emotional damages and years of silent suffering. Her lawyer wrote it like I drained her of joy, like she was some fragile thing I stepped on every year. The words they put there, he diminished her confidence. He restricted her voice. He forced his psychological expectations into the home. It was unreal reading that about myself. And the worst part is that it's written so well, anyone who reads it would believe it without needing more. They're also asking for half my business. The business I built from scratch. Their argument is that she held the home foundation, while I worked even though I handled most meals, school drop-offs, and bedtime routines when she traveled for work. But none of that matters now. The court only sees documents and emotion-soaked statements. They don't see who actually did what. Her lawyer told the court she supported me emotionally while I built my career. I don't even know what that sentence means, but it seems enough to put everything I worked for at risk. As for the kids, this is where everything breaks me most. Dennis is now in therapy. I agreed because I wasn't going to fight over that. I thought maybe it would help him, but apparently therapy means opening the door for a stranger to decide who I am as a father. The therapist wrote a statement that my parenting created an emotional hierarchy and that I am psychologically harmful and potentially distressing to the child. I don't know how one person can read 1 hour of my life and label me like that. Dennis doesn't want to talk to me. He told the therapist he doesn't want to live with me. So now there's a temporary ban on Kiara contact and supervised contact for Dennis only, and it feels like I'm being erased one order at a time. I think what shocks me most is how cleanly she turned into this version of herself. She presents herself like she survived something catastrophic, like she's owed repayment. And yes, I raised this house with rules and structure and fairness because that's what I thought a father should do. But she speaks now like every single thing I did was violence. She used to be someone who asked me what I wanted for dinner, someone who laughed loudly, someone who wanted the kids to sit around the same table and eat together. Now she's someone who doesn't blink when she signs her name on something that destroys me. I look at everything she's done and I keep thinking, where was this person before? How long was she there waiting? Or did everything happening now shape her into this? I wish someone could tell me. All I know is my wife is no longer my wife. She's a weapon. And I'm the thing she's pointed at. Final update. I never thought I'd be typing from a place like this. A cramped studio apartment above the leftover bones of what used to be my business. The walls are thin. The paint peels. The pipes groan at night like they're complaining about being here too. Maybe they're just echoing me. Everything is different now. I keep trying to tell myself it all happened to me, that my wife and the system and the internet and everyone who never understood parenting did this. But I'm starting to choke on my own justifications because I'm starting to realize I didn't just lose, I caused it. The final court verdict came down last week. Everything moved like a machine designed to grind me down into something small. Tara sat there in the courtroom, hair pinned back, her face like stone. And it hit me that I hadn't seen her smile in almost a year. Not a real one. Not since before all of this. Before tests and teachers and grade skipping. Before I started treating my kids like chess pieces. Before I treated my wife like a problem that needed controlling. The judge didn't even look at me when she read it. Full custody to Tara. I get supervised visits only. I have to pay alimony even though Tara makes more than me because according to her lawyer, I emotionally disabled her ability to pursue life choices freely. I owe child support too. Tara gets half of my business. Tara gets the house. I have to do anger management and parenting classes before any change to visitation can even be considered. There wasn't a punch. There wasn't yelling. Just a paper landing on a desk and my entire life tilting. Now I sleep above my failing business. The sign is still out front, my name, big bold, like I thought I mattered. My employees are gone, Clients pulled out months ago after Tara went public. Screenshots, videos, those neighbor clips of Kiara crying barefoot outside. Tara didn't just post them, she narrated them like she was documenting a crime scene. And it worked. She changed. And I still hate saying it, but I can't pretend I didn't play a part in that. I had my supervised visit this weekend. They put you in this room that looks like a daycare mixed with a hospital waiting area. A woman sits in the corner, watching you like you're a dangerous stranger. Which, in my kids' minds, I guess I am. Kiara walked in holding a new book. Taller, older, something different in her posture. She sat across from me, hands folded. She stared at me like she was studying me, like I used to be someone she knew, but now she's trying to remember why. We talked, or I tried. I asked about school. She's already at the Gifted Academy. She talks about it like it's normal. She said she's in a robotics club. I didn't even know she liked robotics. Then she said quietly, almost like she rehearsed it, "Mom said you broke her first, then you tried to break me. Now we're done." I didn't respond. I didn't have words. There was nothing to argue, nothing to defend. It was like someone flipped a switch inside me, and every excuse I ever typed into this app just dissolved. Dennis didn't come. He refuses. His therapist says forcing contact would damage his progress. That sentence sits in the back of my throat like a nail. When the visit ended, they let me walk Kiara out into the parking lot. Tara stood across the pavement waiting. She had sunglasses on, but even without seeing her eyes, I could tell she wasn't afraid of me anymore. She looked armored, like she'd built layers upon layers just to make sure I could never get near her again. I stood there and watched her take Kiara's hand and walk away. And for the first time in this whole mess, instead of feeling angry, I felt sick. Because I remember when she used to be soft, when she used to stand in the kitchen humming while she cooked, when she used to squeeze my arm and whisper that she was proud of me. I didn't notice when that version of her slowly started disappearing. I was too busy trying to manage everything, trying to fix my family before they could become what I thought ruined me growing up. I didn't see the bitterness in me spreading like mold until it covered everyone. Maybe it was never really about my daughter skipping a grade. Maybe it was about me being terrified that someone else would succeed where I never did. That fear is what raised my kids. That fear is what married my wife. That fear is what broke everything. And now I finally see it.